Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC, coming at you live from the swamp after the Gators defeat Texas 29-21, upset win for the Gators as Texas comes from Austin, comes to Gainesville. And hey, look, I talked about it all week. You know, I missed that this game wasn't getting the hype that it was going to get, but at the same time, I wanted to be like, man, I hope Texas and their fans get to see the swamp. I hope they get to see the swamp like we know it can be, and they got it. Because and what do we say all week? If you want that, the team is going to have to come out here and perform. And the team came out here and performed. Great start from the offense. Defense just stuffing Texas's run game, not letting that get going, intercepting Art Manning twice throughout the game. And the Gators come out with a 29-21 victory when it just did not look like anything was going to go right this season. And for whatever reason, it takes a bye week, and Florida finds themselves somehow, some way, and comes out with a victory. Why can't we start the season this way? Why is it another season 2 years in a row? We got to wait to see this Gators team like this after a bye week. I don't want to dwell on that too much because I'm hyped that Florida won this ball game. Certainly happy that we could sit here in the press box, and me and Nick De La Torre sat beside each other. It was a packed press box. Texas brought a lot of media members, so they kind of shuffled us around, but me and Nick got to sit beside each other. So it was a great conversation going on between me and Nick during the ball game. And look, Nick and I talk a lot anyway. So he was like, "Hey, you're sitting beside me today." I was like, "All right, good. This is just gonna work itself out where, good or bad, there's gonna be a lot of conversation being made, between me and Nick with this game. So certainly glad to see it play out the way it did. As I said, offense comes out firing. DJ Lagway puts his best game of the year. The highlight of the day, and it's not even close, true freshman wide receiver Dallas Wilson. And guys, you heard me say during the week, how much impact can he have? And can he really have enough impact to where we can go back and look at and say, hey, well, this offense has been a lot better with Dallas Wilson against LIU, against USF, against LSU and Miami. The performance he put out there today, we can say that. I don't know if Florida wins those ball. I mean, USF, I think Florida would win with Dallas Wilson out there. Put it that way. If this Dallas Wilson was out there against USF, yes, Florida wins that game. Now against LSU and the 5 interceptions with Lagway, okay, maybe that won't happen, but that game was weird. Okay, 5 interceptions, hard to say you'd win that one. Hard to say you win against Miami because the offense didn't do a whole lot at all. I don't know if you're making up that much with Dallas Wilson, but it certainly can put it in your head, that it was a possibility at least. And I questioned myself, and not because I didn't believe in Dallas Wilson. Go to all the preseason talk about Dallas Wilson. I love me some Dallas Wilson. I just didn't know we were going to get that type of performance from him today. And Lagway having the confidence in him right away, and certainly was told before the game, hey, look, they're going to get Wilson involved. And almost a scary start. I mean, very first play, it goes right to him. His welcome to college football moment. He gets hit. He fumbles. Thankfully, he recovers because it would have been Texas ball in deep in Florida territory. But it didn't come to that. Dallas Wilson gets his welcome to college football moment, recovers the fumble, and he is just going from there. One of the best plays we'll ever see with him catching that ball down the sideline, somehow shedding the tackle, tiptoeing on the sideline, staying in bounds, and he gets to 55-yard, 60-yard touchdown. What a play. What a play. And thankfully, DJ Lagway showed up today, and talking about the last couple of weeks, how much practice meant to him, how much all these reps that he was getting. And we asked ourselves all week, right? When was the switch going to flip? We most of us still thought there was that switch with DJ Lagway. It was right to question what we were getting from number 2. But at the same time, some of us are still, hey, we can question at the same time and still think he's got a lot more in him. And we're starting to see. We're starting to see it. You know what? Maybe he just needs some kind of hamstring injury. I mean, or some kind of leg injury. I don't. That's what it looked like. Very early in the game, and there he goes, kind of looking like the guy he was against LSU and Ole Miss last year. Maybe he just needs some type of leg injury like that to get him going. Joking there, but certainly it just good to see him with just the mind frame. If you think after the bye week and all the talk and all the practice, if it wasn't going to happen this game, all right, could the doubt, could the confidence maybe be shaken even more? But no, we don't even have to worry about that. Well, let's see how he continues. And you're on the road next week at Texas A&M, so a whole lot different atmosphere and all that, of course. But certainly you're glad to see this type of performance before you have to go back on the road in a hostile environment next week against Texas A&M. So certainly Lagway, Wilson, throw Vernell Brown the third in there too with the big downfield catch. I mean, this is what we saw. This is what we were finally getting to see, and it was the two true freshman wide receivers really leading the calls for finally we getting some explosive plays, and that's what had been lacking from this offense. And the only one was the one-handed wonderful catch by VB3 against Long Island from Lagway, 41 yards. That was the longest pass play, only 40-yard pass all season long for Lagway, and then we get two true freshmen coming up here. Excuse me, with Wilson and VB3 just exploding today in that explosive play category. So, I mean, of course, the long for Dallas Wilson was the 55-yarder. Vernell Brown III had a 60-yarder where he just jumps up, plucks the ball out of the air over the defender for Texas, and certainly with just another big play by another true freshman. True freshman leading the way in the receiving category. 10 catches between Dallas Wilson. 9 catches between Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown III. So certainly got to like what you got from the two true freshmen wide receivers there. So Mike can hear my voice a little bit, man. I'm hyped. Finally get to talk about a win. Look, I know there's big picture stuff to get to. Team was, of course, backed up into a corner again. Way to respond out of a bye week. You couldn't respond after USF, after LSU. Respond this time after Miami with the bye week. They find out something in themselves in the bye week the last couple of years. But good for a little bit of pressure to be relieved for Billy Napier and these players. I'm in the mindset everything's going to take care of itself. I'm going to enjoy this win. We got plenty of time to talk about big picture. We got to talk about Billy Napier saving his job, not saving his job. One win right here, it doesn't erase USF. It doesn't erase LSU and Miami. But certainly, I think you got to praise, how this team came out, fought, and played today. If you're in the mindset you want to see this team lose because you want Billy Napier fired, okay, I can't go that route. I'm not going to sit here and cheer for the team to lose just so, the head coach you get fired. I'm just in the mindset everything will take care of itself, and I will react to what's actually happening. And what actually happened, Florida got a 29-21 victory, an upset victory, when many people were just picking Texas, who hadn't looked good. We asked ourselves the question all week long: what do we know about Texas? We didn't know a whole lot. We didn't. We knew their offense had been struggling, maybe had found themselves against Sam Houston in their last game, but they had to get right somewhere, and many were pointing that might have been their get-right moment. But you really weren't going to know. It wasn't the ultimate get-right moment till you come to Gainesville against an SEC team, against an SEC defense, and what can you do? Well, they couldn't do much, especially on the ground. Arch had some nice plays with his legs as well, but he tried. Texas was asking themselves the same question: could they pass the ball down the field? And they weren't able to consistently, and a couple of times when Arch wanted to. And what did I say about him all week? Patience. Well, he threw the ball in some really bad spots down the field. He was not patient enough for this Texas offense. Big credit to the Florida defensive front. The best pressure we have seen all season long from that group. It's certainly Arch hung onto the ball a few times, maybe too long, but I think Florida really made him see ghosts. Florida made him uncomfortable, and he sat there and really got punished all night long. So Big performance up front for the defense. Man, voice might be going today. Tonight, but we'll see. But good stuff, certainly from this defense. And I see D in the comments too. Art's missing wide open dudes for sure. That's just going to happen with, I think, with this defense and some of the injuries that they have. Cormani McLean, woo. No worry for me right now. One bad performance today, though. And got hyped up all week, rightfully so, for playing so much better this year. And he had a rough go of it today. And Sark's offense can do that. Cormani McLean's still been overall really good this year, but did have a rough go at it tonight. Does not cost Florida, but oh man, he was beat a few times tonight. All right, let me get to some comments, and then we'll kind of go through some stats, all that kind of stuff there. But that was my quick reaction of the game. Kevin Reed brings up a good point. We'll have time about this, but it does relate to the game tonight. Art scrambled well. Can't do that against Marcel Reed for sure. I mean, so Marcel Reed killed Florida last year on the ground. Certainly got to take what you learned from tonight's Texas game and say, all right, well, I mean, there was a few times Florida spied Arch, perfect play calls, perfect timing, but and that was design runs when they spied him, and it was just a perfect call at a perfect time. I think it was a quarterback draw, maybe, and Florida was just waiting on it. It seemed like they were waiting on it anyway. But yeah, it's certainly lost contain a couple of times against Arch, and we knew he was going to make some plays with his legs. I mean, we just knew that. We've seen enough of Arch in Texas so far that he's become a quarterback that can use his legs. So certainly some of Texas's best plays were from Arch being able to keep plays alive and also take off down the field. John White says LFG, and I'll keep it family friendly, but you guys know what that means. Go Gators. So Harrison says go Gators. Laughs. Yes, go Gators. Jordan Kelly, great game by the boys. Dallas Wilson, what a debut. Guys, we've seen Dallas Wilson on the field twice in this stadium. One was a spring game where he set records, and another one was tonight where he set records. A Florida true freshman wide receiver has never done what he's done. First time a true freshman receiver has scored in their debut appearance. But for catch yards, and touchdowns, Dallas Wilson has the best performance ever by a freshman receiver at Florida. And we know the good ones that have been through here. But we had a spring game performance, which we all know enough about football we don't take a whole lot away from spring games, but we knew that was different. And that is one reason we hyped Dallas Wilson up a whole lot. And then we get his first game. And unfortunately, we had to wait a month into the season to get there. But oh boy, in some way, I don't want to say it because Florida was 1-3 coming into this game. 2-3 now. First SEC win of the season. I don't want to say it was like, oh, it's worth the wait. Because it's like, you don't want to kind of gloss over the game. You don't want to say, oh, it's worth. I don't want to make it sound like worth losing those games, worth the wait for Dallas Wilson. But you guys get what I'm saying. In some ways, it was worth the wait. we saw a special performance by a special player tonight here. Now, teams know Dallas Wilson now. Teams will scheme against Dallas Wilson, but man, some of those plays, sometimes when you got a special receiver, and it doesn't matter who you cover them with, if you bracket them, if you double team them, all that stuff. Sometimes it just don't matter. You got a special guy. And I think Florida's going to have a special guy. Well, Florida has a special guy. Travis says, go Gators. Corey Green says, wasn't expecting this. I wasn't either, guys. Going back to Alex Shepard when he was on the podcast earlier this week, focus on the Gators with Alex Shepard taking beautiful photos. Actually, go to my Twitter right now. You'll see some beautiful photos of VB3 and Dallas Wilson there from Alex taking them in the swamp tonight. But certainly wasn't expecting this, but we did kind of jokingly say, and I've talked about it, Florida under Billy Napier will have a good home performance in them. If it wasn't going to be this one, Don't know if Napier would have got another chance to have that big home game performance. He kind of needed it to be this one if he wants to continue his tenure as Florida head coach, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, who knows. But it kind of needed to be this one so you get more chances. But Billy Napier's good for that one good home game performance a year. Last year it was 2. You got LSU and Ole Miss back to back. The year before it was Tennessee after you went on the road at Utah and got beat to open up the season. Year 1 for Billy Napier was the very first game of his Florida Gator tenure and beats Utah at home. So he's good for that one big home game win. And this year it was Texas. Who knows? Maybe he's got more in his arsenal after this. Who's the big games? Mississippi State's a bigger game now. Tennessee at the end of the year, a big game. Of course, if Tennessee continues on. It probably will be a big game anyway. It's Tennessee, but still, you know where I'm going with that. And then FSU, which it's halftime. I don't know the score of that game right now. I do have it on the TV over here. But last I saw, Miami was winning 14-3. So if you listen to this, not live, if you listen to the replay, there's a little bit of live commentary of another game. So, so are there more? Are there more for Billy Napier? Are there more? But no, I was not expecting this. My final score prediction was 30-17 and kind of a controlling Texas win. Now, obviously, something else we weren't expecting with how this game was. I think the over-under was 42. Definitely went over that. So I expected to go over, but towards Texas and more towards Texas. But then you get a 29-21 final. So certainly, 50 points there. So odd sometimes to have the game plays out sometimes. But one reason I expect it to be a little bit higher scoring for Texas, for Florida, both teams were coming off bye weeks. And one team took advantage of their bye week more than the other did. And it was not Steve Sarkisian in Texas. It was Billy Napier in Florida. Now, did play calling get conservative in the second half? I mean, I thought starting the game, play calling was great. Of course, players were executing, and you had some freshman receivers showing up and doing some big things. But thought play calling, the mix was good. The mix of run, pass. It was a pretty well called play called game to start with. So it was hard to get a beat on what Florida was doing because they had success running and passing. Jaden Ball, running well again, and Florida just really running well in the first half. Duke Clark coming in as well. So big props to him with Jacoby out. Perky Painter said, yes, sir. Defense playing lights out for the most part. Deep ball killed us. Yep, that was something that Texas really took advantage of. This defense gave up some more explosives than we've seen. I expected it probably to be Miami a couple of weeks ago, not much so Texas. So look, injuries may be catching up a little bit, but I still thought overall, even with that, it was up front that really controlled this game, getting to Arch, making him uncomfortable. Hitting him. He got hit a lot in this game. So big stand for the defense. Damon says, Dallas Wilson is him. Need to feed 13 at least 25 times a game. Billy needs to stop playing to lose in the fourth quarter. Yep. that was, like I said, nobody did get conservative there a little bit. I know Ball's not going to get 25 a game every game. I just think there's going to be, I will agree, there are going to be certain games I think you do give him those carries. That many carries. It can't be week in and week out. That's a lot. That's a lot. You want to protect him down the road as well. But certainly feed the ball to him, feed the ball to Wilson, feed the ball to Brown. Florida did this too without Trey Wilson doing anything tonight. Aiden Mizell with 4 catches, not even 20 yards, I believe. But getting some guys involved there. Matt asked, what was Dallas's injury before? It was a foot injury, high ankle, I believe. D say any word on Lagway's injury? I assume fine. He did talk to the media after the game as well. He looked fine. There was nothing on his leg. He came in the same sandals he always comes in, but leg wasn't wrapped, anything like that. They didn't say anything of what it was, so we'll have to See if Napier gives us more this coming up week. All right, so I'll get into some more comments. We'll go through the stats as well. That'll tell us the story of the game a little bit. But yeah, good stuff. Some more good stuff I got to talk about. My good friend Brandon at Gator Drywall of Duval. And Brandon texted me during the game and said, man, where's this been? Where has this team been? Who knows, Brandon? But you know one thing I ain't got to worry about where they've been? Brandon's team at Gator Drywall of Duval. Been in my house all week long, getting rid of that popcorn ceiling. I don't have the popcorn ceiling anymore. We're about to paint the ceiling coming up soon. The cracks in the drywall, you know, when your house settles, all that kind of stuff, you get those cracks in the drywall. Well, nope, Brandon can fix that for me. And his team's been doing it all week. I haven't had to wonder where they're at. We had to wonder where this Gator team was for the first month of the season. But I didn't have to wonder where the team at Gator Drywall of Duval has been. Give them a call. Gator Drywall of Duval at 904-793-2088. That is 904-793-2088. Taking care of me. That project will be done pretty soon. We'll paint. We'll do the job we have to do to fix it all up. Now, I'll take some pictures, show you before and afters of all the great work Brandon and his team have done from Gator Drywall of Duval. So if you need a refresher in your home, give those guys a call. One more time, 904-793-2088. All right, let's go. I wish I was at home in the studio. In a way, I love doing this after the game. You guys like it too. I see the numbers. I see the comments. I see the DMs about how much you like this. But man, it's so much more comfortable at home at dual screens and all that stuff. And I got so much stuff connected to this computer. So, you know, it's a MacBook Pro. I got so many connections, but I still don't have enough. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get the dual screen set up. But not many more home games left. But we'll get there. So let's take a look at some stats here. If you're watching the YouTube version, hopefully you can see them there. Let me get that right tab. Okay, game. Let's go to comparison. Total yards, 457 for the Gators. Of course, season high FBS competition. Didn't do this versus USF. Didn't do this versus LSU, Miami, but take a week off, and what was supposed to be a really, really stingy Texas defense, you just light up to the tune of 457 yards. 298 passing, 159 yards rushing. That was, you know what? Florida was pretty balanced tonight. 298, 159, I'd take those numbers. And I think they fed off of each other. Let me take a sip. Y'all guys, you can hear it in my voice. Let me take a sip right quick. Need the Mountain Dew. Need some of the caffeine on the drive back to Jacksonville. Excuse me, guys. But, 298 passing, 159 rushing. 7 penalties for 50 yards. 22 first downs. 7 of 14 for third down. And Napier mentioned it after the game, too. Now, don't get me wrong. You'd like that to be better, especially in the late game situations, too. Like if Florida here is like 8 of 14, 9 of 14, you take that. Because Florida, they would have salted the game away at that point. Before that, it was, the number was pretty good for third down offense, which has been terrible. The whole offense has been terrible up to this point. But third down, when you were averaging, 3rd and 7, Florida was averaging about 3rd and 7 tonight as well. But came out on the better end of it. I got some advanced stats, first down and third down stats we'll get into in just a second. Florida on first down tonight, you're going to like that one. A lot of the reason for the success of the offense. 7 of 14 on third down. 65 plays for the Gators, 7 yards per play. Average yards per completion, 14.2. Far cry from what we saw a couple weeks ago in Miami when, I forget off the top of my head, but wasn't it like 4 or 6 or something like that? 14.2 yards per completion got the explosive plays. 4.3 yards a rush for the Gators. That was the difference in the game in a lot of sense. Florida could run the ball. Texas could not, at least with the running backs. 4.3 yards per rush for the Gators, 2 for Texas. Sacks for the Gators, 6 sacks. Got to Arch 6 times. No sacks on DJ Lagway. Offensive line. Actually, let me shout that group out. Of course, have not lived up to the hype this year with the 4 or 5 starters returning. Of course, played their best game of the year tonight. They made a statement. They made a statement tonight, giving Lagway time, opening up holes for these running backs. And, I mean, just got to shout those guys out. 4-4 in the red zone for the Gators. About 34 minutes advantage, time of possession. Both teams with 2 turnovers. Texas turned theirs into points. Florida did not. Like I said, Florida had 2 fumbles. 1 was lost. The Hayden Hansen fumble. I mean, Florida was rolling. Florida was rolling at that point. And it was close, but it clearly was a fumble on Hansen. And he doesn't really do that. But led to Texas points. But if that drive goes like most of the first half drives, I mean, Florida's offense was really humming at the time. That was a good play in and of itself that Hansen fumbled on. So Florida, I mean, really could have made it even worse there before Texas gets their first their score, and it was off the turnover. Tackles for loss, 7 for the Gators as well. There held Texas 341 yards. That's all the Longhorns had. 341, 289 through the air, 52 rushing yards. I'm sure the sacks are in there. I'll have to, there's somewhere I can find a sack adjusted. 89. That was the sack adjusted. So 52 yards rushing, 89 after rushing after the sacks. 15 first down. Oh, wait, 10 penalties. Don't let me overlook that. 10 penalties. And I talked about the Florida offensive line. Well, Texas's offensive line, a young group this year, played in another road game, played in Columbus first game of the year, come to the Swamp, and now there they were. I mean, it was false starts, another back-to-back fall, or a delay a game, a false start. I mean, the crowd, as I said, I'm glad Texas fans got to see the Swamp like we know it can be, and that really played a difference. It's odd, a month ago we're sitting in here, and it's USF leaving the Swamp with a victory. A month later, Texas comes to the Swamp, and Florida walks out with a victory. And it was, the visiting team that had all the penalties this time. And that night it was Florida at home with all the penalties. And the Swamp did its job. Swamp did its job tonight. The team, first, as always, the team has to do their job first. The team does their job, then the Swamp's going to come through for you a lot of the time. 3 of 11 on third down for Texas. Now, they've been a terrible third down offense all year long, and it continued tonight. 3 of 11. 5.9 yards per play, 17 yards per completion. They had their own big plays, as we talked about. Average yards per rush, 2 yards per rush. Let's go to player specific. DJ Lagway, 21 to 28, 298, 2 touchdowns. The 1 interception kind of couldn't follow through. His arm gets hit. Ball's picked off there for the Longhorns. 75% completion there for DJ Lagway. Going to the rushing performance, Jaden Ball, 27 attempts, 107 yards. Along 16, had the 1 touchdown, averaged 4 yards a carry. Duke Clark coming in. Jacoby Jackson out, not playing. Wondering throughout the week. Duke Clark, KD Daniels. No, Duke Clark gets the ball. 9 attempts, 38 yards, 4.2 yards an attempt. I mean, good showing by him as a young running back. And then Vernell Brown III, of course, Florida gets a little creative. Little sweep to him for a 14-yard carry. 37 attempts, 159 yards rushing, 1 touchdown for the Gators. And then, of course, the highlight, Dallas Wilson. 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 of 55 yards. He was targeted 7 times, 51 yards after the catch. And, of course, the one we just all will remember, the highlight of the year so far. Sideline, staying in bounds, touchdown. Aiden Mizell, 4 for 18. He was targeted 6 times. Vernell Brown the third. 3 catches, 72 yards, along with 60, of course. Jaden Ball with 3 for 16. J. Michael Sturtevant with a nice night, 2 for 42. Had a 23-yard reception. Aiden Hansen, 2 for 30. One of those being a fumble. And Livingston, you heard me and Will talk about it, when we talk about how predictable this offense is at times. And one of the most predictable plays is when Florida's deep in their own territory, on the goal line, you're going to get the play action, roll out to the tight end. As Hanson's 1 for 9 right there. It was a big one. It was a big one backed up in your own end zone. Arch Manning, 16 of 29, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 costly interceptions trying to go down the field. Caldwell, came in and kept a drive alive for Texas, going for one for one on a 3rd down, I think it was. 2nd or 3rd. I mean, Arch helmets get taken off. I think it was 3rd down. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, a clutch moment for Texas, trying to keep that drive alive. Arch's helmet comes off. He's got to go off the field. And then Caldwell comes in, hits a 26-yard pass to Wingo, I believe. Arch Manning led Texas in rushing, 15 attempts, 37 yards. The sacks are in that as well. But like I said, he had a 36-yard run there to keep the drive alive for Texas. But Wisner, really good running back. Really good running back. Tyreek Sapp and that group keep him in check. 8 attempts, 11 yards, 1.4 yards carry. And then go to Texas receiving. Wondered when Wingo and Arch would kind of start their relationship again a good bit. And you're starting to see it there for Texas. That's probably one positive they can take away from the night. And they're not going to take a whole lot from it. But if you're looking at it from their angle, Manning, Wingo, 4 catches for Wingo, 73 yards with 1 touchdown. DJ Moore, 3 for 75. I mean, look, you look at that. Wingo had a long of 38. Moore had a long of 42. Livingston a long of 33. Mosley a long of 22. They had McCutcheon a long of 26. They had their explosive plays. 8 receivers, 17 receptions, 289 yards for the Longhorns. Won't stay too much in the stat world, but let's go to Florida right quick on defense. Tyreek Sapp led the way, 6 total tackles, 2 solo, 1 tackle for loss. But he finally, just the consistent pressure, the consistent havoc. We've seen it at times this year from Tyreek Sapp. But I thought, and this is not a slight at Tyreek Sapp. I think he's a really, really good player in his own right. But Caleb Banks made him so much better. Like a really good player into an elite player at times. We saw that from Tyreek Sapp tonight. He didn't need Caleb Banks to help him as we've seen it in the past. Tyreek Sapp was a man on a mission tonight, and it started from early in the game. Miles Graham, hey, no surprise. You're going to see him at the top of these stats. Game in, game out. 5 total tackles for him. 1 quarterback hurry. Bryce Thornton, 5 tackles as well from the safety spot, 3 of them being solo. I mean, you had Bryce Thornton, Sharif Denson, both up there, high in tackle numbers. Thornton with 5, Vince with 4, Devin Moore with 4, of course, and an interception there for him, and a sack. And go back now. That sack from Devin Moore, I saw him blitzing. I was like, man, I don't know if he's going to get there. But he had to fight through a block, and he still gets to Arch Manning and gets the sack there. So he was joking after the game, saying, I got to get with Coach Chapman and get me boost my skills up a little bit, boost my pass rushing skills up a little bit. So that was a good back and forth there with Devin Moore. But an interception and a sack to go along with 4 tackles for him. Jaden Robinson with 4 and a pass breakup that he was close to picking another Arch Manning pass off, by the way. So Aaron Childs, Jaden Woods with 3, and 2 of them being solo, a half a sack, a half a tackle for loss. He had a pass breakup. Cormani McLean, as I mentioned, of course, definitely struggled tonight. 3 tackles for him. Brian Taylor, 3 total tackles, but guys, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. So he made his tackles very impactful. Brian Taylor showed up tonight, played really well for the Gators. And we've seen it with the guys that we've wondered about on defense this year. It was like, hey, what are we going to get out of Kofi Asari? And when we've seen Kofi Asari on the field, he's been a good player. He plays very disciplined, pursues very well. And then you saw it from Brian Taylor tonight up front when Florida's got injuries. And Florida's been needing guys to step up. And we saw it with this defense last year. Guys went down, and they were able to conjure up something and continue to play well. Well, we saw it again. We're seeing it again tonight, and it was up front. And Brian Taylor was one of those guys when not a starter, may not even be number 2 on the depth chart. But injuries start to pile up, especially on the defensive front, and somebody's got to show up. And Brian Taylor was that guy tonight. Jordan Castell with 2, Cam James with 2 tackles, Mekhi Burrow with 2 as well, George Gums with 1, and we'll kind of just wrap that part of it up right there. So I did mention the advanced stats, something I wanted to get into right quick, and it was first down. Florida gained 8 yards on average on first down. Most of the big plays down the field were on first down. Not the predictable run. Run. A lot of the big plays happened on first down tonight. Florida averaged 8 yards on first down. So, didn't necessarily translate to a great third down distance to go. Like I said, it was 6.4. You can see here. But guys, that was it. That was it. If you look at third down right here, Florida averaged 6.4 yards to go on third down, contributing to Texas's terrible third down offense. Guys, they averaged 11.1 yards to go on third down. Texas lived in 3rd and 11 all night long. No wonder the pass rush was getting the arch. Florida could tee off. And if I go back to it, it was, if you look at the sacks, like I said, Devin Moore, Jaden Robinson, Jaden Woods, Brian Taylor, Cam James. It was those guys in the backfield, and a lot of that was because it was 3rd and 11 for Texas all night long. But that's what I wanted to show you guys right there. It was pretty stark to see what Florida was able to do on first down by gaining 8 yards on first down to 5.2 for Texas. Florida on first down gained 239 yards. So 239 on first down when you had 457 for the night, for the whole game. 457 total and 239 were all on first down. You can definitely tell that was going to be a focus. Florida's struggled on third down all season long, too. Got to be better on first down. Just got to be better on first down. Don't put yourself in so many bad situations. Well, certainly bounce back in that regard. But I just thought, that was the biggest difference in the game. What Florida could do on first down and what Florida could do on third down, and what Texas couldn't do on third down. I'll go to my stats of the game, and let's just go to the halftime snap. Go to the halftime stats. Florida averaged 3 more yards per play. Florida won this game in the first half. 3 more yards per play than Texas. Florida had 5.4 yards per rush in the first half. The Gators were 5 of 7 on third down in the first half. And at that point, we're averaging 7.3 yards on first down. And Florida gained 138 yards on first down in the first half. Texas had 12 yards on first down in the first half. So that was, you knew it was trending. Of course, you still had another half to play. But when you now look at the game in totality, now you can go back and say, hey, it was that first half that won the game for Florida. All right. I guess it's about time to get back into some back into some comments. 122 waiting on me, so there ain't no way I'm getting into all these. Unfortunately, but let's see. Woo, man, a lot of some of them are coming through Twitter. Okay, here we go. But Tawan Chilsum, thanks for the comment. I guess they're coming through Twitter, so there's a no wonder there were so many of them. But I can't. A lot of them are just one words. I don't know what's happening here. And they came in late too. Oh yeah, let's go back. Let's go to one of the biggest storylines, and I was wondering, kind of loud and wrong at the same time. Was wondering about the 10-second runoff. That's the way it was explained, and that's why the question came out. Was Florida chose to run, not run 10 seconds off the clock when Austin Barber's helmet went off, I believe. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. When the helmet comes off that late in the game, the clock stops, and it will not start again until the ball is snapped. So good call by Billy Napier actually to call the timeout so Austin Barber could actually go back out there. Now, it didn't really work out. It was 3rd and 3. And, the clock wasn't going to run anyway. So to get Barber back out there on 3rd and 3, Billy Napier decided to call the timeout. So, but we all wondered, because the way it was explained and how I heard it too in the press box was Florida decided not to do a 10-second runoff. And it was like, what? And of course, at the time, I didn't know the rule. And it was so late in the game, I don't have time to go look the rule up, while covering the game. So at least had to ask the question, am I missing something here? And I figured there was. I figured it might be a rule like this. But I did have to ask, what am I missing here? Why not choose to run 10 seconds off the clock? First of all, Texas gets the choice to run the 10 seconds off or not. Of course, they're not going to. They need time on the clock. So that's where it stems from. So, of course, they're not going to do it. And, so with that, it kind of takes care of itself. You can't have offensive players taking their helmet off on purpose. I mean, that's the reason the rule exists like this in the late game situations. You can't have offensive players having their helmet come off on purpose and then being able to run 10 seconds off, 10 seconds off, 10 seconds off. So that's why the rule is like it is. But there's a lot of confusion out there about it. There was for me as well. But I do need to clear that up. Okay. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong tab. I was seeing a replay on YouTube of me. I was like, I just said that. Let's see. Hilbert, not Dilbert. Napier did everything he could to lose the game. Dallas Wilson and the defense deserved the game ball. Like I said, I thought the plan early in the game was magnificent. The players executed. Play calling was good. Thought it was very balanced. James O'Brien, DB struggled bad today. Yeah, that is something I will go back to on the stat sheet. And so if I can pull it up. Sorry, I got so many tabs open right now. All right, so if we go to big plays by Texas, 224 yards passing on 8 explosives. You had a 33-yarder, a 22-yarder, 18, 38, 19, 26, 42, and 26. That 42-yarder took them all the way down to the 1-yard line late in the game, and they punched it in from there. But yeah, I mean, that's the first time we've seen the defense ate up like that. Like I said, I expected it against Miami, and some, or if it was going to happen, maybe against Miami a couple of weeks ago. Didn't really happen, and it happened more against Texas or this Texas offense, and more so they have shown all year as well. They've been looking for explosives too, and while they were hitting, as we can see, they were hitting some of them. But there were times where I said, I had to ask myself, is Arch going to be patient enough? And he threw the ball in some bad spots in his interceptions. Okay, let's see. And usually some donation chats in here to get noticed, but not tonight. Let's see. Gabe, they've been hooting and hollering. Well, can't really do that in the press box. But having fun at the tailgate, yeah, that's where it comes from. We're doing Thunderstruck, and we're all having a good time. If you've been there, you know. And yeah, that's where it's coming from. Need some tea tomorrow, I guess. Get the vocal cords back. Kerry White the second. The D line looked unstoppable. Great game. Go Gators. Certainly the best game they play all year. From snap to snap, play to play. Yep. And just not letting that Texas ground game get going. That was the biggest thing. Multiple game balls to go around, says Wally Gator. Defense, offensive line, DJ, Dallas. Hey, look, credit one more time. I know a lot of you just kind of fed up with where the program has been, where it has been the last month. But credit to the players. Credit to the staff. We want to come to Gainesville. We want to see our team win. We want to be able to cheer our team on. And that's what we got. That's what we got in that swamp. You know, here's another thing. I don't know how good Texas is going to be. I mean, they're two big games so far, and Ohio State has turned out to be a really good football team. They're the country's best team right now. And Texas played them down to the wire. Chances to win that game late. They had their cupcake stretch. And then they come to Gainesville. And in a lot of ways, Florida played Texas better than Ohio State played Texas. Now, guys, you know, do not take that out of context. Some of you might. Not going to sit here and try and say, hey, Florida's up Ohio State. No, you know, good and daggone well. That's not what I'm saying. But it is true that Florida played Texas better than Ohio State played Texas. Now, that was a month ago, and that was the opening game of the season. There's a lot of reasons for that. Oh, but on face value, that's what we got here. I'm in no way saying, but it does add to the frustration because we do know this is the Florida team we expected to see in a lot of ways. A team that could compete with Ohio State at some point this year. A team that I picked Florida to beat preseason. I picked Florida to win this game. That was the type of team I expect. You know, this game played out tonight like I thought it would late August. Certainly not last week. Certainly not the week before or the week before that. No, I wasn't picking this game then. I picked Florida to lose, of course, earlier this week. But that's kind of the frustration of it. We see what this team is kind of capable of. We've known what the defense has been capable of. The offense has had its issues, and there's many reasons for that. We all know it. They need to rehash it. But, you know, the grave has been dug in some ways. Can you dig your way out of it? You've shown some potential tonight to be able to do so. You're not all the way out of it yet. Yeah, actually, you just put your hands up. You're on the ledge right now, and you might just be pulling yourself up a little bit. That's where you're at right now. That you poked your head up over the ledge. And that's where this team is at. You're not out yet. But you got to start somewhere. Richard Blakesley. At one point, well, 94, Tyreek Sapp be wearing booty shorts. Love the big win. Man, college football uniforms are crazy these days. Guys are out there basically in shorts. And, I mean, there's not many of them that do it like that, but Tyreek Sapp is one of them. Come on, George. I try to tell everybody Billy is the best coach ever and leave him alone. I hope you guys listen to me now. George. We cannot forget USF. We cannot forget LSU. We cannot forget Miami. No, one game does not erase the 1-3 start. I'm not going to live in that world tonight, though. but George does reply. Sometimes my evil twin brother Skippy says some bad things about Billy, but it wasn't me. All right, George, I got you. Oh, man, we could have some fun, can't we? Hardwire, man, it's been a while. I hope you're still in here. This was at 9:18. How you been, man? Hardwire, it's been a while. It's been a while, man. Scott, always in here as well. The fans are so loyal. Yep. And I know, and look, that gets on some other fans' nerves too. Oh, nothing's going to change if you keep buying tickets and if you keep doing this and keep doing that. Well, look, guys, for one thing, these tickets were bought months ago. This game was sold out. I mean, it finally sold out today, I believe. Yeah, the final official word of sellout was, what, Friday or Saturday? I believe it was Friday. But, I mean, we knew it was going to be packed in here. Yeah, a lot of people were selling their tickets, and I knew people who ended up not coming today. And some people who actually, thankfully, reached out to me and gave tickets away for people who wanted to be here, and making sure Gator fans were in the swamp. Yes, the fans are loyal, which is why we're so passionate about our orange and blue out there. But I won't ever jump on the you can't go and support. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Things will take care of themselves. I live in that world. I'm conservative by nature. In that regard, I'm just things. It'll work out. If a move needs to be made, it'll be made at some point. I can't live in that world the whole time while watching the team and sport I love. Can't do it. I can't do it. Yes, I'm critical. Yes, I will continue to be critical. But I'm going to praise when praise is warranted. And right now it's warranted. And to me, it also sends a good message. Yeah, things might not be going so well, but whoever the next head coach, whenever that happens, they're going to like what they see. Well, yeah, it's not going good, but I still see those fans packing that swamp. I know things aren't going well right now, but I see the support. I want to be part of that. I want to be a head coach of that. So, yeah, keep coming to the games. Keep supporting the team. Scott says again, the swamp showed out, and I love it. I did see, I forget his name, but Nick De La Torre. He messaged Nick throughout the week and stuff, and I reached out to him to stop by the tailgate. I forget the guy's name. But anyway, I saw his tweet. I think I retweeted it at one point. And he was a Texas fan and was talking about how loud it was. About how loud it was in the swamp. I was like, yes, that's what I wanted you to see. And that was in the first quarter. So I was like, okay, well, he got to taste some of it. I don't know how much he'll get the taste of it, but at least he got to taste some of it. And then they get to see a hyped up fan base do We Are the Boys, do some Tom Petty, sing I Won't Back Down. That's what I wanted Texas fans to be able to see. Look, I love college football. I want other fan bases to see us at our best. And hopefully that means winning a lot of ball games. But I wanted Texas fans to experience what we get to experience 7 times a year. And look, it was their first trip in our lifetimes. The first time that fan base has been here in the swamp. I wanted them to experience what we get to see. Bull Gator, Gator's Breakdown Plus member, so I will make sure I share the comment. What up, Nick? Bull Gator says, great win for the Gators, and Billy still needs to go. I will share the Plus members if I know the names, if they match from the Discord. Look, we got time to talk about that too. Yeah, does this exonerate Billy Napier from the disastrous first month of the season, the 1-3 start? No, I am not going to hang on that tonight. Gabe says it sounded loud as hell on TV. It was. Now, it definitely wasn't the loudest I've heard the Swamp. It was up there. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't the loudest. Auburn in 19 always comes to mind for me. Utah, Napier's first game. LSU, Ole Miss last year. This game, it had its moments. It got loud. It did get loud. I mean, there was moments that felt like a classic swamp, what we expect. Throughout the whole game, no, I still think, maybe a little bit of trepidation for whatever reason, but I'm not downing it. It was a great crowd tonight. It really was. It made a difference. We saw Texas's offensive line kind of melt under that swamp pressure. All right, let's go. A few more comments before guys go in about 5 minutes and hit the road back to Jacksonville. Hardwired back in here. Yep, not bad. Can't complain at all. Got my soul in peace. What can I say? Good stuff. Chris Mile brings up a good point. They had a ton of open receivers, but I think at a point we started playing to that, knowing Arch was seeing them well enough to get to them. I mean, it was bringing that up. It was very reminiscent of LSU and Ole Miss a little bit last year. They had guys open, and that's where your defensive front has to come through. Your defensive front has to play well. And yeah, he was either getting hit, had to scramble, and it affected. He was seeing ghosts at points. Kimpo Karate says, no point scored in the fourth quarter. Yep. And I wish we would be able to put the game away. For sure. Rob Falter, Texas fan, I assume. Yep. You folks kicked our butts today, fair and square. Yeah, a good point on that, too. I didn't think the refereeing was all that bad. Bull Gator will certainly correct me, believe me. So there was one, and I didn't think there was enough to overturn it. The low Texas catch that maybe like hit the ground or whatever, but honestly, they called it a catch. I was fine. There wasn't nowhere near enough to me to overturn it. I thought it was a pretty well officiated game. And it is funny now. On the episodes I had late in the week about the previewing the game here, some Texas fans left a lot of comments on the YouTube videos, and there was not a lot of confidence from them. I was surprised by that. Now, like us, they saw, and we all questioned it, what their offense would do, and I thought their passing game. I mean, Arch played well. The receivers played well. They couldn't run the ball. This was a good passing performance, but besides the 2 picks, don't get me wrong, you can't live with those. But that good performance by them. We'll see what Texas does from here. Oklahoma next week, I think, right? They Red River. Material will be out for Oklahoma, so maybe they get back right next week against a rival. But certainly one of their better performances through the air, just could not run the ball. Charles Todd Sullivan for president. Manning is awful. Sark has to bench him. Backup comes off the bench and throws a dart. I don't know if I want to make enough off of one, but if, we'll see. Tanner Rowan, a competent coach, would have put the pedal to the floor. Realistically, should have been a 41-14 game. I did think Florida was going to run away with it right before that Hayden Hansen fumble. I mean, I thought, I really thought. Wally Gator, nothing bittersweet about a win over the most entitled program in college football. It's weird. There were a lot of Texas fans here. You could see it in the stands. But where we tailgate at, out Museum Road and out there by Lake Alice, historically, we've gotten a bunch of opposing fans like walking by, and they'll stop by the tailgate or they'll come to the tailgate because they've seen it on social media or whatever. Oddly enough, there were a ton of, Texas had a good showing. First time in the swamp in, our lifetimes. But I didn't see them before the game. I didn't see a whole lot of them before the game. They were just, I don't know if they were on the other side of the stadium or whatever. There was a lot of them. I just didn't see them before the game. Hey, everybody, I didn't do it. Oh, I always forget on these live streams after from the stadium. I remember it at home when I do it, I think. But hit that like button, subscribe, leave some comments. You're leaving comments. I mean, between YouTube and X right now, 1750 live viewers. Hit that like button. That really helps me out. It really does, guys. You may not believe it. The subscribes really help. Make sure you know when there's new episodes of Gators Breakdown out there. But it helps. All right, let's see. Let me scroll all the way to the bottom. Sorry, guys. Thanks for all the comments. I'd be here till in the morning if I read all of them. Casual Carolina fishing. Yeah, one more player. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but sure. Devin Moore had a great game. Man, for sure. Always got to shout out him. I mean, here we are. And look, we all know it. He's playing. He's just on the field. That's the best thing about Devin Moore right now. We knew he was a good player. We've talked about how good of a player he is when he's on the field, when he's available. And he's showing. That's the best part of this. The selling, I'm sorry, on more on Devin Moore. Am I crazy, or does no one throw towards Devin Moore at all? Hey, that's a sign of a good corner. You're not going to have a lot of crazy stats, and I do think, I mean, Texas definitely saw something, targeting Cormani. And they definitely, and some of that might have been, hey, let's just stay away from Devin Moore, and somebody's going to get picked on, or maybe not picked on, but they surely weren't throwing towards Devin Moore. They were going to try, if they were going to take advantage of somebody, it was going to be somebody else besides Moore. Josh Collins, a few minutes ago, Gator fan from Tennessee, what's the chant on visitor penalties? So, dun, 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 dun. You get that part. And then the fans start chanting, take your hat off, or whatever you got. And I'll have it on the one of the next podcasts. My good friend Todd provided me with and what the chant is, Josh, is move back, you suck. Dun, 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 move back, you suck. That's the chant. So you take your hat off and you wave your hat and do it. Or what Todd gave me is it's a yellow flag with the Gator head on it that says move back, you suck. So, and I have a Gators Breakdown shirt out there with move back, you suck on it. I got to get it back out there, by the way. Got to re-release it. What is the score of that game? Of course, the one time I look over to see the FS, or the second time I look over, there's lottery numbers on 28-3 Miami. Okay. I was looking forward to listening to that game on the way home, but that game is mostly going to be over by the time I get out of here anyway. Okay. Hey, guys, everybody, thank you so much. It was good to talk about a victory. It was good to talk about a win. I was tired of talking about losses. If we were talking about a loss tonight, it probably meant something else tomorrow. But I prefer this. It'll take care of itself. If you're in that realm, if you want to live in that realm, it's fine. I get it. But I'm going to react to what happened. And Florida wins 29-21 over Texas. Gets back in the win column. 2-3 on the year. And we'll see what it means. We got plenty of time this week for that conversation. But for now, right here in the swamp, after the game, just want to talk about the good of a 29-21 victory over Texas. Everybody, that'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for listening and watching this episode of Gators Breakdown.